And Ron Johnson joins us now on the Minnesota Football Party. He is at 3Ron Johnson on Twitter. He hosts the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota, and he is a Gophers Hall of Fame inductee as of tomorrow. Ron, welcome to the show. Is there a speech involved in the induction, and how is that going, if so?
No speech, but I am gonna do the Terrell Owens like I should have been here a long time ago moment. No, Justin Guard is actually he's running it, so he's gonna be interviewing me. He kind of asked me to help him lead me to where I want to go. I really honestly a little overwhelmed, I guess. Got a lot going on in my life, and then this pops up, so don't really know where I wanted to go. But I do know it's been a little different with my dad not being around. Every moment in sports, we shared that moment together. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame at Eastern Michigan. So he always would joke around about that, like, when are you ever going to do it? So, so I'll definitely be wearing his Super Bowl ring tomorrow and to the game Saturday, as we celebrate this weekend.
Yeah, it's super awesome to see you have this honor, and obviously we'll be watching on Saturday against Colorado. I think Matt put together some stats of your career. I mean, top 3 in basically every Gophers category. If it wasn't for Tyler Johnson coming along, you would be number 1 in some of these as well. I mean, like, when you look back, I guess, is this sort of validation for you of what you were able to accomplish in your Gophers career?
No, I think I never needed validation. Honestly, I never did it for the stats. I just played football, and that was what I showed up to do. It does feel good to finally be recognized, but I will say, Tyler and all those guys, they played 12 games a season. Like, I think if I played 12 games a season, I'd had like 37, 38 touchdowns. I'd have probably had a, 200 plus catch, career with, you give me 4 more games plus then, because we would have went 6-6 at least. We'd have had 4 more or 2 more bowl games too. Oh yeah, no. And funny stat, I didn't realize this. Like, back in, I forgot what year, 99, they didn't actually count bowl game stats in your career stats. That's kind of new. So I think my junior year, I actually have more stats than they're giving me credit for. Like, I think I'm actually like over 3,000, but they're not giving me credit because if you go to like Pro Football Reference, it puts an asterisk by my junior season, which they say bowl game stats don't count. So I've been lobbying, trying to tell people, like, hey, you got to add those bowl. That's 2 more catches, and that's I think 85 more yards from that bowl game against NC State when Phillip Rivers absolutely destroyed us in the second half. Him and Corin Robinson just went to work. And, the Miami life got to a lot of our players. They had drank too much, so by the second half, they were done.
That's bogus. We got to lobby to get those stats back on your record. That's crazy. Well, we congratulate you big time. Let's go around the horn. Luke Inman, what do you got for Ron?
Yeah, for Ron, obviously had an illustrious career for the Gophers. Well-deserved going into the Gophers Hall of Fame. Congrats on that. You saw all the stats. I know you got a lot of them, but what's 1 or 2 of your favorite memories playing for those great Gopher teams? A specific game, maybe even a specific play, a guy you play against? What always sticks out to you when you think back from your favorite memories on the field?
Honestly, it's the stuff that people really didn't get to see. It was the behind the scenes stuff. Like my freshman year playing against Ohio State, Andy Katzenmoyer, Gary Berry, Nayal Diggs, Antoine Winfield Sr. Like, it was all names and names. I think they were like number 3 or 4 in the country at that point. And we go into Ohio State to play them, and Andy Katzenmoyer absolutely decleats me. Like, he took me off my feet. Literally, my feet were in the air above my head. Antoine Winfield then hits me, and I slide so far, I end up hitting like some water bucket on their sideline. It was still a catch and a first down, but he absolutely destroyed me. And at halftime, our other receiver Luke Leverson had gotten hurt. Like, he got hit in the ribs too. Like, I don't know who hit him, but it was a brutal game. That defense was tough. And I'll never forget Tony Henderson looking over at our trainer, like signaling, hey, come here. And he needed rib cages because he was calling for the rib cages because he's like, look, these 2 dudes just got crushed out there. I'm not going out there without a rib cage on. So, like, moments like that were like just they're priceless. because it's like the trueness of football. And then another one was Glen Mason and our defensive coordinator got into it in practice. And I'll never forget, we were killing the defense. And so David Gibbs was like, screw this. If y'all want to really like kill us, I'm going to blitz. And he blitzed in practice. Didn't tell our team a blitz was coming. Our quarterback did pick it up. Absolutely he didn't hit him, but he kind of, pushed the quarterback out the way. Glen Mason took the play sheet and just threw it like in David Gibbs' direction. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? And he didn't say freaking. But he's like, what are you doing? Blah, blah. Like, and Gibbs was like looking at him like, hey, if you wanna take advantage and try to beat our DBs on double moves, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do in the game, which is I'm gonna blitz. And so him and Mason, that's why David Gibbs ended up leaving, because him and Mason never really they were great defensive coordinator, head coach, but they never saw eye to eye on some of that practice type stuff. So that was another funny one, because we were all sitting there like, dude, this dude just blitzed in team. Like, it's not blitz, period. You can't just blitz. And Mason was he threw this play sheet at Gibbs, like, are you freaking kidding me? So moments like that, that's the stuff where I look back and it's like, you can't get those moments back, but we'll always have them. We'll talk about them.
Congratulations, Ron. It's a super great honor. You've been too humble. All right. Tell me something that you are beaming with pride about from your Gophers career. All right. What is the one thing that you are most proud of?
I mean, honestly, I met my wife, Tony Dungy. I was going to go to either Penn State or Michigan probably. And Tony Dungy last minute, Minnesota was actually my last visit. So I had already taken visits. I had already kind of made my mind up. I was kind of leaning towards Penn State because my best friend Spice Adams had already committed there as a sophomore. So when I grew to 6'2" my junior year, all of a sudden Joe Paterno and Jay Paterno start coming to the school, wanting to talk to me. They offered me a chance to come visit, for an official visit. They're like, we'd love to have you out. We think you can really fit in as an athlete. And so I ended up picking Minnesota, but I ended up meeting my wife. And so to this day, Tony Dungy, every time I see him, he takes credit for my wife because he's like, look, if it wasn't for me, you would have been at Michigan with some Detroit girl, or you would have been at Penn State with some Pennsylvania chick. I got you to Minnesota, and now you were able to meet your wife. And when I ended up coaching with Tony with the Colts, that was one of the cool things. He broke a team meeting down and told all the players hey, let's give Coach Ron a round of applause. His wife is going to the Olympics, blah blah. He thanked himself if it wasn't for me, he never would be married to an Olympian. So he always likes to pick on me like that because Tony was there when I was born back in 1980 with the Steelers. I think that's what I take pride in. I met my wife and I had a good career. I never was in the paper for anything bad. You can't look up any papers and say Ron Johnson got a DUI, or he was out late and missed a game, or he punched a cop and went to jail. I graduated college in 3 years. So even that, my senior year, I was a graduate. I had already graduated. These guys are graduating because they've been in school for 17 years now, like Tanner Morgan. But I graduated as a junior. So I took pride in that, going to class, being able to be a 3.4, 3.5 grade point average. I got my transcripts because I was getting my MBA. I had no idea I had a 3.7 one semester my junior year. I literally had no clue what my transcript looked like. I never had to look at it. Only thing I cared about was, am I eligible to play, and when do I graduate? That was it. But found out I had a 3.7. So I take pride in that, because I can show my kids that, hey, I was a good athlete. Mom was a good athlete, but she got her master's. Your dad graduated as a junior, so we can't just talk the talk. We walk the walk. We can tell our kids, look, we were student athletes. Some people weren't. And then I forget that I was first team All Big Ten in 2000, because the Big Ten was loaded that year too, with David Terrell and Plaxico Burress. You look at all those guys, and I still was first team big, or the Plaxico maybe leaving 99. I can't remember, but I was first team All Big Ten. So even that, having that to put a feather in my cap to be able to say, you know what, I did pretty well amongst some of the top in the Big Ten.
That's really cool. Your mention of bowl records not counting and stuff like that reminds me of how nuts Barry Sanders' college season was, right? He is still atop the rushing leaderboard despite of only 11 games that count towards his record versus Melvin Gordon, who's right below him with 14 games, I believe. Was nearly 240 rushing yards per game versus Gordon's 184. Sanders is missing out about 400 yards there, so that's pretty cool. And I think that if you had a little, a couple 400 yards added to your total, you might have a little bit more. You got the Hall of Fame a little bit sooner. But my question is, 1 for 3, 0.7 yards per attempt. You threw the ball a couple of times at Minnesota. What's the story there? Why they let you throw the rock?
So the Penn State game, if you ever look at the long run, that was actually like a negative 27-yard run, they counted it as. It was supposed to be a pass, but nobody blocked LeVar Arrington. Like, go figure. And so I get the reverse, and I'm supposed to throw it, and LeVar Arrington is like barreling down. And unlike Aaron Rodgers, I'm not about to just duck and tumble. I tried to reverse out and run. To this day, I still don't think my knee didn't hit. They said my shin hit, which is down. I don't think my shin even touched the ground. But we were in Penn State. They wanted Penn State to win. They were number 2 in the country, so whatever. But they called it a negative. But yeah, so in one game, screw you, ABC. You guys couldn't beat us. But when you think about the pass, I threw to Saad Abdul-Khalik for a touchdown. So Saad Abdul-Khalik was my first touchdown I threw. And then my second pass was actually the same play that we ran at Penn State. We ran it earlier against Illinois. And the next year, ran against Illinois my junior year. Wide open, Tony Henderson down the field. I chucked it up probably 50, 60 yards. It's a beauty. He's running under it. It literally goes through his breadbasket like Christian Watson.
Christian
for the Packers.
Watson.
And you never looked his way again.
I never looked his way again. I'm like, I'm throwing it to the quarterback. I'm not throwing it to you anymore. So Assad ended up getting my touchdown my senior or junior year because I'm like, I'm not throwing it to the receiver. He's not going to catch it. And so Tony Henderson dropped it, and I'll never forget. He comes off on the sideline, and he tries to say some BS about the sun was in his eyes. And then we all like went and looked where the sun was at. And we're like, dude, the sun is like over here. Like, that sun is not in your face. And he literally tried to sell it so bad when he sat down on the bench. He was asking the trainers to grab him some sunglasses. And we're like, dude, like, it is not that serious. Like, you dropped the ball. It's okay. It was a 60-yard bomb. It should have been another touchdown. But he screwed me. He screwed me over. So, yeah, I ended up only having one completion. I think I threw it twice. Yeah. But it was a touchdown.
Do
My one completion
really
was a touchdown.
have the best hands on the team? I keep hearing quarterbacks always have the best hands on the team.
Oh, hell no. No, not even close. You saw Tom Brady. Tom Brady tried to run the same special.
Yeah.
And what happened?
That's
No,
right.
Quarterbacks do not have the best hands. They can play basketball a little bit, some of them, but no. Catching, like some I would say, like Josh Allen probably does. He's an athlete. Lamar Jackson for sure does. He's an athlete. I'd say probably Pat Mahomes. I'm trying to think who else. I think Justin Herbert. Herbert looks like he can go. But some of these guys, yeah, I don't want to see Joe Burrow running routes. Like, no. That's not his thing. Icy Burrow. No, like you just stick to throwing the ball. Yeah, Tom Brady, don't ever do it again. Like you have no shot. You're not Nick Foles. Nick Foles is an athlete. Tom Brady is a great quarterback. There's a difference.